right. Ah, distinguished boys and girls of all species, sexes, and made-up genders. Let's get this off here. Ah. Well, let's get the promo off here too. No confusion. Hello. I am Michael Ringtail, your human observer. Join me today as we take a look into the world of the human animal. This is ideally going to be a monthly stream, at least once a month, gathering stories and events of noteworthy attention. So, if you like what you see here, we have other videos on here as well on the Weirdzors channel. Subscribe to that. We also have another channel called Crafty Arts. A little more of commentary involving that human crafty Andy. Don't mind me, I'm just getting having a drink. You can't see the drink. TOS, prevents it from being shown. That's my logic for it. It's digitally removed. We also have a gaming channel. We do Monday through Friday. Squigs Weasel does his little game streams, his digital toys he likes to play with. So, there's that. I think Monday they're going back into Ratchet and Clank. There's also an Etsy store if you want to buy merchandise to help feed me, Squigs, and the human. Stickers, prints, t-shirts. If you want a discount at that place, well, we got a Patreon up here. A mere $3 a month will get you a discount. So, I'm not sure how long this is going to be. Hopefully, you'll find some entertainment out of this. And maybe something a little insightful when it comes to the human species. Me being a ringtail lemur, our kind tends to just lay about. We enjoy some millipede poison, getting high. And then if there's ever like a fight, we tend to just throw stink at each other. Just not even like an object, just an aura of stink. And that's how we fight. So not much to really indulge in. So that's why I find the human animal a little pretty interesting. Alright, let's make sure the chat loads up here. There we are. We have some music there. That shouldn't be too loud. Oh, let's just do a quick sound test here. Alright. Oh, pretty interesting. Just making sure I can hear it. Let's make sure the chat loads up here. There we are. We have some music there. That shouldn't be too loud. Oh, let's just do a quick sound test here. Well, we should be good. Perfect. Yeah, ideally there should be highlights of this spread around. Alright. Make sure our audio levels are all separated. Yep. Perfect. Alright, once again, Michael Ringtail here, your human observer. Indulging in the observation of the human animal and its doings on the planet Earth. So the story happened around February. I think ABC News does it best here to just emphasize the lack of enforcement when it comes to the hate crime laws that the human species has put in America. No evidence of hate crime and torture. No evidence of hate crime and torture killing of transgender man in upstate New York, investigators say. Investigators probing what they describe as a torturous killing of a 24-year-old transgender man in upstate New York, allegedly at the hands of 5 people, say they have found no evidence that the homicide was a hate crime. The remains of the victim, identified as 24-year-old Sam Norquist of Minnesota, were discovered on Wednesday in a field in Benton, New York, in Yates County, according to Captain Kelly Swift. In fact, I think the... I don't know why I didn't have the CNN one. There we are. Because there's the 5 individuals right there. Don't they look like fascinating human specimens? Pasty white, as white can be. This guy looks especially deranged. Like, what the hell's going on here with that? What is that mug? That is all neckbeard. This guy doesn't look too happy either. Swift described the case as one of the most horrific crimes she has ever investigated in her 20-year of law enforcement career. 5 people ranging in age of 19 to 38 are charged with second-degree murder with depraved indifference, according to the release. Please identify the suspects as Precious Arzoega, 38, Jennifer A. Quijano, 30, Kyle Sage, 33, Patrick A. Goodwin, 30, and Emily Motika, 19. So not only is this person's life utterly tortured and destroyed, but they've also in turn destroyed their own lives. So these 5 people are looking forward to, at best, a felony charge, which means they'll, in the human world, especially in the American world, they ain't getting any jobs anytime soon. 2023, there were 35 homicides of transgender or gender expansive people, according to the report of Everytown for Gun Safety Support Fund. So that's nice. 5 people just thought it in their minds to kidnap and torture a transgender man. Let's see. I think the reason why I had the other one here, they actually get into the details. Let's see some quotes. I'm just not seeing anything else noteworthy here, but it's just nice to know. This is the result of the rhetoric humans inspire.
Minnesota endured the unspeakable.
All this anti-trans stuff happening around America. You know, you go out of your way to demonize less than 1% of the population, acting like they have political power and sway in decision making. Somehow they're able to just convert people into being trans, which is impossible. But humans are pretty gullible, especially the poorer and stupider they are. They're much more easier to take advantage of. And this is what you get.
New tonight, a growing memorial outside the motel where a missing trans man from Minnesota endured the unspeakable. The details are tough to hear, but as our Uba Ali reports, advocates say that it's important to pay attention to this tragic trend.
No human being should have to endure what Sam endured.
A crime scene that left a community stunned and a family shattered.
This is by far the worst homicide investigation that our office has ever been a part of.
Loved ones say 24-year-old Sam Nordquist traveled from Minnesota to New York late last year to visit his girlfriend. His family says they grew concerned after his sudden silence.
I'm so sorry.
Friday, investigators uncovering a deeply disturbing pattern of abuse that led to the tragic death of Nordquist.
This is one of the most horrific crimes I have ever investigated.
Nordquist was repeatedly subjected to prolonged beatings by punching, kicking, and striking with numerous objects, ultimately resulting in Nordquist's death, according to charging documents. Nordquist's body was later found in a field. Police say it happened at this motel. These 5 people now charged with second-degree murder. His death sending shockwaves within the LGBTQ plus community here in Minnesota.
The pure hatred that had to be bestowed upon him, it's sad.
Roxanne Anderson, a trans advocate, says there's a constant presence of fear.
I want people to really remember that we cannot succumb to the fear. We must unite.
And to look out for each other.
Let people know where you're going. Drop your pin, let your friend know where you're going to be.
Tonight, authorities have not ruled out if this is a hate crime. The most recent government study found trans people across the country are 4 times more likely to be victims of violence.
And this is so disturbing, Uba. Do we know what the relationship is between the suspects in this case?
Yeah, there's 5 of them?
Yeah.
There's 5 of them, and that's the big question here. We still don't know because authorities are tight-lipped, saying that they are in the early stages of investigation and that they'll be combing through phones and computers.
All right. Thanks,
you.
Uba.
Well, it's only been a month since that. I
No,
wonder if there's
it's-
anything new. Hey, shut up. Let's find out. One day ago. Here we go. Oh, change my Adless account here.
The motel where a Minnesota man was allegedly tortured and killed. NBC News reports police were called there 8 different times, but not specifically to the room where Sam Nordquist was allegedly held captive.
So what? The police were called in and they're like, what? They're told there's some disturbance going on, and they're like, well, can't find out, don't know where it is. Guess we'll just leave.
New tonight, we're hearing from Nordquist's family about these developments. Joe McCoy spoke with them just in the last few hours.
It's crazy to me that this happened when I specifically messaged Precious and said respectfully, you should watch a true crime show and you would know how we feel and we just want to talk to Sam.
For Kayla Nordquist,
I was horrified.
she feels like she's living in one of those shows.
Yep.
After her younger brother Sam was murdered.
It's been extremely hard. I cried at least once, if not multiple times a day.
The Ontario County District Attorney's Office charged 7 people with first-degree murder for Sam's death after the Oakdale, Minnesota man was found dead in a field in New York. On Friday, NBC News obtained Sheriff's Office call records showing law enforcement officers were called to Patty's Lodge Motel at least 8 times throughout Sam's captivity. Authorities say this is where Sam was tortured to death.
I was pissed off that there was that many calls to that building and no one heard anything.
According to the Ontario County Sheriff's Office, none of these calls reference Room 22, where Sam was allegedly tortured from January 1st to February 2nd. Officials say no one reported any suspicious activity at the hotel during this time.
I wish people would report what they hear and what they see.
All 7 suspects have pled not guilty and face life without parole if convicted.
I have no doubt. I think they will be found guilty.
As Kayla and the rest of Sam's loved ones wait for justice, Kayla keeps beads saying justice for Sam wrapped around her wrist.
And then the trans nails.
The same way she used to wrap her arms around her brother.
The only place I don't wear them is in the shower. Otherwise, they're on 24/7.
Kayla tells me that once Sam does receive justice, she hopes to bring awareness to the dangers of online dating. She says she and her family have received an outpouring of support from around the world.
So, what's the story of this? I love the comments here that say, like, poor woman, and you know, like, deep down, some of these people are saying it just for the sake of misgendering this person, not understanding that when it comes to the human species or any species,
take a look at this line. This is
fuck
100.
off. Fuck off, sir. I did not expect you to randomly load here. Come on. When it comes to gender and sex, those are two different things. That is it. One is involving physicality, biology, and the other is just something completely humans made up when it comes to just like gender roles in societies where things and the conditions are not as ideal as they are in today for a lot of people. So it looks like we have no idea what their motive was. Likely just a targeted attack. It's always not going to be as complicated as anyone thinks it is. Yeah, just a group of pathetic humans doing human things. Now this I haven't seen yet. This was linked to me by Crafty's husband, Backfire. Hennesville police fate lies in the hands of council. Residents recall his encounter with police.
Good afternoon. Some of you already know who I am. My name is Brian Campbell. I've lived in Huntsville 62 years, and I was a victim of this police department. I will preface my remarks by saying, not one day, not 1 minute in my life have I ever been in any kind of trouble. Maybe a speeding ticket.
I can relate to that.
2023, I was caring for my wife. Some of you know me. I've known some of you since you were children. I was caring for my wife with Alzheimer's and my disabled daughter. On that day, an incident happened at my residence. Huntsville was dispatched. 2 officers approached my home, and I didn't know why they were there. I inquired why they were there, did not get a response, so I proceeded to close the door to my house. Upon doing so, one of the officers took his foot, jammed it in the door, and forced his way into my home. Asked me to step outside. Upon which time...
That is one of the tactics that a lot of these human officers will do. They'll put the foot in the door as soon as you open it. That's why you do not open the door for officers. If you have a ring cam, use the ring cam. If you don't have a ring cam, you just talk to them through the door. If they can't hear you, well, that's on them. Unless they have a warrant, they have no business or cause to bust in your door. And if they do, well, that just adds up the lawsuits.
There were 2. One of them was very professional. I have told him countless times how I was so pleased with the way he behaved. The other one was the officer from hell. He's not currently on this force because during all this, I prevailed in a lawsuit that took over 1 year and $17,000 of my money to defend myself. That officer hit me from behind, which I can't hardly still walk, with his knee, took me to the ground, and beat me mercifully. My attorneys have the photographs. Coleman Hospital has the records. I was handcuffed and roughed up really bad. Placed in a police vehicle. It was May, so it wasn't very hot. It was not running. No air conditioning on, but I began to hyperventilate. I'm a 2-time survivor of cancer and a heart patient. While I was in that vehicle, when one of them finally returned to the vehicle, I was in real bad shape. An ambulance was dispatched and the paramedics. Well, the only problem I had was I couldn't breathe. Once I got air, I was fine. I was then taken by the officer who brutally beat me up to Huntsville jail. On the way to the jail, and I was never allowed to explain anything to him. I was never told I was under arrest. I was never told anything till I got on my way, well, actually, till I got here.
This is a common story for a lot of humans that have experience with police officers that are just violent. And a lot of times they just get fired and then they just go to another police department. You know, even when you work for a bank, you do something against like the bank, they have an ability to just blacklist you from working at any other bank. Not so much when it comes to the police officer realm, at least within the United States. So the human police, they can just move on to another department. And a lot of times they'll just keep doing that.
On the way, that officer said to me, "Men like you are nothing but pieces of human infamy." And that's not the words he used.
You should just use the word he used then. What are they going to do? Shut you up?
I was married to my wife 52 years. I never touched her, ever. The incident involved, and I was trying to tell them, with her Alzheimer's, she didn't know what she was doing and tried to exit the vehicle while moving. I pulled her back by her hair, and I was so admitted to that, and that constituted, in your officer's opinion, domestic violence. Anyways, and that was all perpetrated by a 911 call where the person hung up. When I got to the jail, my abuse continued. Maybe it's procedure, I don't know. I was handcuffed to a bench right out there for 3 hours. I say this somewhat shamefully, but I'm a cancer survivor and I'm incontinent. And while I was there, I desperately need to go to the bathroom. I requested from the officer, and you know, the city hall is right down the hall. And I was handcuffed, was denied. I urinated on myself.
I was about to chime in and mention this similar story, but this guy had the same experience. I had a friend who was whose father was an officer, and they had a guy who trespassed, and he was just laughing and joking about how funny it was that they locked this guy to a bench and just let him like shit and piss himself because they would not let him have the bathroom and not an opportunity to use the bathroom at all. You know, that's what he gets for trespassing, I guess, and being homeless.
Hit me from Friday, perpetrated by a 911 call with a survivor, and I mean, it was right down the hall. And I was handcuffed, was denied. I urinated on myself. Then I was placed in filthy rags, and I'll tell you, I've traveled all around this world, and that's no lie. As a buyer for a major retailer, I've been in every country you can imagine. The facilities in this jail, and I hope they've changed, were filthy. Were feces on the wall, feces on the water fountain, feces all over the floor.
Oh, that's what you get for violating the law. This is just the results of not focusing on any kind of rehabilitation, and you just focus on punishment. Punishment for what in this case? Apparently nothing. Just an officer with a fucking chip on his shoulder who thought he was just dishing out some vigilante justice.
Looked like it hadn't been cleaned in 5 years. Have any of you ever went in that jail and looked at it? I don't care if you're a criminal, you deserve better treatment than that. I was denied food and water because on the way to jail I said, why don't you just shoot me and take me out of my misery? I was put on suicide watch. No food, no water, no nothing. A kind lady jailer come up and had seen my record. She said, Mr. Campbell, I'll get you some water and they don't have to know. She said, I looked at your record. You've never been in any kind of trouble. I said, yes, ma'am, when I was younger, I got speeding tickets, but that's the extent of it. Long story short, I finally talked to one of the 3 chiefs that's no longer here. This gentleman, chief, was a reasonable man, and I finally got to explain my story to him. And he was very empathetic, and I know it was only my word against your 2 officers. And he said to me, I will make a phone call
Well, you forgot the oath that they take: to protect, serve, and to lie whenever it serves the state's interest. I believe that's the oath that all officers in the United States have to take before they get their badge.
Call and see what I can do, because I found out that my stay would be 2 days in jail, 48 hours, and I was charged with 2 felonies: domestic violence and resisting. I was told my bond was $2,000. So they proceeded to put me in that filthy jail. I spent the night in that jail. Next day, the chief did as he said. My magistrate came down. It's a Sunday. I had the money cash on me, $2,000. She said, pay your bond, and you can go home. I went to pay my bond, and this may be the procedure. If it is, I've never been in trouble, I don't know. But I was told, we cannot take cash on the weekend. So that told me you can't even trust your own police department with cash. But if you use a credit card, we'll let you go home. Reached in, got my credit card. Oh, but by the way, do you council members know this? It's $200 more if you use your credit card. So I paid. I'm ready to go home. By this time, I was not allowed a phone call. I was never told anything about my charges. I called my son. Some of you know him. He's an upstanding citizen, was once a manager of LP down here. He's now a private contractor. He said, Daddy, they're not going to let you go home. I said, what do you mean they're not going to let me go home? He said, well, they told me that you're going to be transferred to Coleman Regional. I said, why? They have.
And this is after he paid his bond.
For a suicide watch. You have to be evaluated. So Sunday evening, and believe me, I'm no harm to anybody.
This is another lesson to learn from other fellow humans watching. Just guilty, innocent, doesn't matter. You never say a word at all to the police. Other than, am I being detained? Am I being arrested? And if you're accused of a crime, it's likely because they feel like they have some evidence against you. And if they don't, well, that's just going to be biting them in the ass, as long as you keep your mouth shut. Always ask for a lawyer, and that's it.
And was certainly no threat to those 2 policemen. Either one of them could have taken me easily. I'm at Coleman Regional. I'm kept overnight. When the doctor saw my beat up body, they asked me, what could have possibly happened? And I told them, the only good thing that came out of that is the nicer of the 2 officers was the one who transported me. On the way to the hospital, I said, young man, tell me how you could possibly think that he could think that I was resisting. His exact words, and I'll never.
Well, that's just standard procedure. There's one person that's been arrested for resisting arrest, and that was the only charge. What are you arrested for? Resisting arrest. It's just something they always tag on no matter what, it seems. Like every case I've ever looked at when it comes to these police officers, resisting arrest is always on there.
Never forget them, because my wife and my daughter, my wife was dying then. He said his perception was that you were resisting. I said, you were there. Long story short, it came time for discovery. I didn't know anything about discovery, paid 2 attorneys. They said, here's what's going to happen. They got to present their evidence, and you can present your evidence. Well, Kathy, and a lot of you know my wife, Kathy, a better woman than ever was. She was on her deathbed. And I called up my attorney, Johnny Berry, and I said, I'm supposed to be there. He said, Brian, don't worry about it. He said, me and Brandon will be there. You don't have to be there. So I stayed with my wife with hospice. I wasn't there. In the meantime, my wife died. A month and a day later, my daughter died. On the night I was sending pictures to the funeral home, 2 more Hensel officers came to my residence to arrest me again. They came to arrest me for bond forfeiture because I didn't show up on that court hearing. My attorneys were both there. They represented me. I paid them well. I'm making these arrangements and getting ready to be taken to jail. My daughter was being buried the very next day. Fortunately, I know Kenneth now, and I wasn't in any shape to call him, but my son Kevin called and he said, look, my daddy, we just lost my sister. You know, he's a good man. Anybody knows him. He said, they just leave him alone? Never told me what the warrant was for, by the way. Kenneth told him, or I don't know if it was Kenneth or who it was, someone later told me, the chief told him to just go on and let me turn myself in. Okay, I called my attorneys and told them what happened. I still don't know what the warrant's for. I didn't know it was bond forfeiture. I go on to the cemetery and I buried my daughter. On that day that I buried my daughter, I went to Hansville down here to this courtroom, and that judge, who was a joke, that sat right there, read me the riot act and told me, had me handcuffed immediately, and told me he's gonna put me under the jail. You were remodeling, so I sat handcuffed out here in the hall for another 3 or 4 hours. During that time, I was told I was being arrested for bond forfeiture. I said, what bond? They said, well, you didn't appear for the discovery. No argument from my part would be heard, because I'm just an average citizen, like all these people here. An innocent average citizen. I was transported to county.
I'm just looking to see what else we have. What was this related to? Seems to be a common theme in this department here. Hansville police chief, 4 officers and spouse arrested in an investigation following dispatcher's overdose death. Well, we'll get back to that in a second.
Sat in county the night of my... The night of my daughter, she was buried, sat in county, and was going to be put in jail under no bond, 0, because I forfeited my bond, allegedly. My son knows the sheriff real well and the chief deputy. He called and he said, look, I don't know what's going on. And you know, I'm not going to say my dad's innocent or guilty, but we just buried my sister. And they told me to disrobe, go take a shower, put me in the rubber shoes. Well, get ready to put me in the orange jumpsuit. And the desk deputy said, Mr. Campbell, today's your lucky day. And I'm thinking, you just don't know. It's 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I said, well, tell me. He said, you've been released, ROR. I think that's released on your own recognizance. And I was released. We come back in front of this same judge. It continues almost for an entire year at more financial expense. And I'll conclude what I have to say by your police, untrained, uninformed, and you, like the lady before me said, you're the accountable ones. I was a manager of a major retail company, top level, and the buck stopped at me. The decisions to make these people in the roles they're in fall on each of you. And I ask again, have any of you ever looked inside that jail? And if it's changed, I'm shocked. But anyways, what I have to say don't amount to much, but I got my day and I could say my piece. My son said, well, at least 100 people said, you ought to sue him. Well, in the first place, I'm not the kind of man that sues anybody.
Well, you should be. I'm just saying that if you ever have your rights violated by a police organization, false arrest, mistaken identity, doesn't matter. Fucking email attorneys. In fact, I'm going to keep tight-lipped about this for the most part, but we're going to... the humans that reside in this dwelling that I'm hiding out in, they are going through their own situation, but we'll save that for another future time. I can mention, though, there was a time where they had to bail out one of their human friends. This person who we'll just call him Wolf. Wolf was arrested over a ticket that they couldn't find any information of for about a year ago. They thought the ticket was taken care of or dismissed because they couldn't literally find anything on it when they looked up to pay it. It took us $1,000 to bail him out And if we didn't bail him out that night, it would have been another $200 a night just for him to stay in this prison cell. So, think about that. If you have a job's not going to take "I'm in prison" as an excuse for missing work. So this person would have likely have lost their job, on top of if they had to stay overnight in jail, which would have cost more to bail them out the next day, and the next day, and the next day after that. Because if you don't bail them out, they just stay in jail until their court date, whatever that is. They can plead guilty or not guilty. Usually, a lot of people, even if they are innocent, they'll just plead guilty in some cases, just so they can get out of jail and get a lesser sentence. Depends on what the charge is. You know, misdemeanor, whatever, you have a lot of fines, but hey, you're out of jail and you get to keep your job, and now you get to slave away in drudgery to pay off your fucking police bill. Great stuff, is it not? Isn't it great? Human society that has been built around us. It's just a fascinating watch. Let's continue this guy's story.
I've never done anybody wrong in my entire life. I'm a Christian and I believe in treating people Christ-like.
Well, I mean, hate to break this to you, sir, but there's no God that made you or me. I mean, if there was a God that cared about me, my species wouldn't be going extinct within the next 30 years. I think that's when our species is scheduled to go extinct. Let's see. Let's see. Ringtail lemurs, endemic to Madagascar, face high risk of extinction due to habitat loss, hunting, and the sapphire mining boom, with 98% of all lemur species considered threatened and 31% critically endangered. Let's see. Yeah, you know, there's 6 billion humans in the world. 2,400 lemurs are residing in the Madagascar region. Think about that just for a second. Just think of the difference here when it comes to like the different species of animal on the planet, right? Humans are at 6 billion. Lemurs, my species especially, are around 2,000 to 2,400. What is that exactly? So we are 0.0000004% of the world's population. Not looking too good for us. But hey, at least I get a good show on the way out.
Okay, and I didn't want a pound of flesh, but I never got so much as I'm sorry this happened to you. And Mr. Sawyer, I've known you a long time. Another incident happened, and I had you come to my residence. At that time, you brought the new chief with you on this other issue. I told you a little bit about this story. Your exact words to me in the conversation, what do you expect me to do? And my response was, so help me. You got a Bible? I'll swear on it. I said, what I want you to do is clean up this town. Clean up this mess.
What can you expect the man to do? He's only the chief of police. He's not a genie. He can't just magically make everything better. Come on, what do you expect?
I said, the people of this town deserve it. I'm just one individual. And nobody really cares what I have to say. Imagine if it happened to you, losing your child and your wife, and then being drugged through this crap, and then financial expense on top of that. You know what your response was to me? Do you remember, Jimmy? Well, if I'm dying, if I'm lying, I'm dying. And you looked at me and said, that's why this man right here is the new chief. He is going to clean it up.
Shit.
He cleaned it up all right. And I would have never said another word about this. In fact, my son said, Daddy, don't sue him. You've been through too much. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you more hurt. I can barely walk as it is from the injury to my back from that officer. And I agreed with him after praying a lot on it. But when I saw this nonsense, I said, maybe my story's not good. And maybe they'll put me off as a fool like some other people that have stories. But I swear to God, every word I told you is the truth. One thing I left out. At that time, you had 8 police officers. Because the chief told me himself, you had 8. That day, while I was sitting in that squad car in my driveway, and there's a man in this room that can testify to the fact who's my neighbor. 5 squad cars showed up, 7 of your 8 officers, and you would have thought I was a murderer or a drug dealer.
Hey, when there's nothing going on in this little town, a little thing's gonna bring in every single police officer. They gotta justify that budget one way or another, right?
Fact. Then one of them told my neighbor in this room, who I don't know if he's going to speak or not, but that night before I buried my daughter, or the funeral, when they came with that warrant and they left, my good neighbor came over to check on me, see if I was okay. When he was walking through my yard, and if I'm misquoting you, sir, you know who you are? He said, one of them officers stopped me, or I asked him what's going on, and he said, yes, please. We're not through with Mr. Campbell yet. Is that professionalism? I say no. So I conclude my remarks. I love this town. I wouldn't have brought my family here and lived all this time if I didn't. And some of you lived here longer than I have. This got to have an input to it. If it don't, it's just a continuation of the same thing. And it's happened too many times in my lifetime. And it got worse in the last 3 years. Anyways, I conclude my remarks. I appreciate your time. I hope this sinks in. Yes, I'm mad and angry and upset. Put yourself in my position. How would you feel?
So we have no room for empathy in this courtroom, city council meeting, please. All right. Empathy is a sin, haven't you heard? Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, therefore he must be the smartest man in the world, has said empathy is bad. Therefore, it is bad. So apparently, a bunch of officers were arrested, including the chief in this town. Just another example of police corruption that's never held accountable for. You know, it's funny, a lot of the talks in this this human country is against unions, yet the police union is never challenged, never denounced in any way. Even when no matter which political party is in charge of it. What did the Joe Biden say? He said that we need to fund the police. Fund the police. And then Donald Trump just doubles down on that. So it's like he can't win. No reforms. No firing. No abolishment. Speaking of which, this is an interesting incident I thought we should bring about attention to. LAPD, fuck your ads. LAPD officer shoots and kills kidnapped trans woman after she calls 911 for help. Maureen, 30, was shot on 7th of February around 9:40 a.m. following a 911 call in which she said she was being held against her will at a motel in northern LA. She died 3 weeks later after being removed from life support. During the emergency call, speaking Spanish, a tearful Maureen was heard saying there was a man in a different room of the motel who was preventing her from leaving and bringing other men into the room. "I swear to you, I have no reason to lie," Maureen says. A dispatcher asked, "Linda, are they forcing you to do this?" Maureen answered, "Yes," and sobs on the phone. The footage from the body-worn camera shows LAPD officers entering the room. And I think we'll just watch
How
it
the
from here.
LAPD investigates all serious uses of force. Visit lapdonline.org, where you can...
Amazing that it just jumps us over to this time period here. Let's just watch the video, huh? Let's see.
Turn on. However, body-worn video cameras have a buffer of video without audio from the previous 2 minutes prior.
Alright, let's read on here. Let's just see what we're going to see. Read about what we're going to see here, pretty much. Oh, I accidentally... I think we're going to get the body cam footage of that. I better download that before they, police organization just erases that. Oh, hold on. Just one moment here. There we go. I got a download program for it.
How the LAPD investigate...
Fuck you. Just another example of the human species being just doing what they do. Don't touch me if you're not going to help me, she said. Well, let's describe him. I think we're going to watch this here. So let's just see how things play out. And maybe I'm just misjudging by what I'm reading. And you know, pictures are worth 1,000 words, as the human saying goes. So let's see how it goes.
Okay, that's suspect.
All right.
Upon arrival, the officers and the supervisor entered the motel room and met with Moran.
Interesting that comments are turned off. I can only imagine what wonderful human beings would be on here saying, you know, what they would be saying here. Anyways.
During their investigation, Moran became agitated, armed herself with a knife, and held it up against her neck. The officers and supervisor exited the video without audio.
Is danger to self. Huh? Danger to self.
Right.
Here is body-worn video from the officers involved in this incident.
Hey.
Is our stream going to get monetized?
And she said she is danger to self. Huh? Danger to self.
Oh, what was that?
Danger to self. Huh? Danger to self.
I threw this one away because I don't use it. Just check her head.
Hey, sit down. Siéntate.
You said they hit your head, right?
Hey, sit.
Where did they hit you? But don't put anything strong on my head. Check me, but don't put anything. No, we're just gonna check you out. Where did they hit you?
Where?
Alright, check it.
Revísemela, pero no me pongan nada fuerte, ¿ok? Ok, yo tengo derecho a ver que no me pongan nada, ¿ok? Alcen las manos ustedes, todos.
Todos te estamos revisando.
Sí, pero tienen derecho a alzar las manos, que no me pongan máquinas ni nada, ¿ok?
You guys don't put machines on me or anything, okay? We just want to check if you're beaten.
Am I allowed to touch? She's gonna
Going to freak out.
Can I touch your head?
Where did it hit you? Go on, check it then. That's where the guys are. You guys are investigators. Just a momento. Good, good.
Point where you got hit.
Point where you got hit. You said you hit you with a bottle. Many times they hit me on the head. What part of your head? All over my head, sir. This is to say, I spill blood. Come here.
Can I feel your head?
Okay, lower your head.
I don't see any redness.
As my experience with witnessing human bullies is that a lot of times they'll hit, but they don't hit hard enough to leave marks. Or sometimes they just hit in spots that hurt, but they also don't leave marks. You know, you just want to put them in a line. So that could just be what's happening here.
It's a mole. Look up. Look up. Hey.
Lift your head.
Are those just your eyebrows, or is that?
What? Are those just her eyebrows? You can't tell if those are supposed to be eyebrows or not. I mean, they're black marks on above her eyes, therefore they're eyebrows. It wouldn't matter if they were just grown there or drawn there. Pretty sure those are eyebrows.
I don't see any like redness or cuts, bro. You get hit in the head with a bottle.
It was only one.
Type of mark.
It's nice.
I mean, the head naturally is rigid. You know what I mean? So she told the EBO that she's thinking about killing herself.
Did she say anything to him?
Did she tell you that she wants to kill herself? Take her on hold, bro.
If you want to see, hit me here. Do you want me to, so you can see that he hit me?
She wants to die or do it herself?
Already I've come from so many different countries. I need to pay what I owe because of my money. Sounds like she was drinking, like kind of like how I'm drinking right now. Don't place my gloves on my table. I won't know how. Don't put your gloves here, please. Nothing. Following his body cam worn video from a supervisor who responded to the incident. Let's just skip ahead here.
Just back up over here. Jacob, just stay right there and leave her alone. Don't talk to her.
What escalation did we miss here? Hold on. Maybe we should go back. Alright, don't touch me. Don't touch me. I mean, it seems pretty obvious that she's been drinking or something. To me, it seems obvious. And it seems like, I don't know. Like, maybe you should just remove her from the situation.
Hey, cálmate. I'm the supervisor here. Relax.
So she's claiming.
If you're not going to help me, don't touch me.
Right. Business is for the room.
For the room, okay. And then supposedly they own her some money from pyramid scam, savings type of deal.
Tell her to sit down and relax over here.
Then she's claiming though when we showed up, she's like, "Oh, I'm bleeding from the anus."
So she's claiming of being raped. Sounds like they need to get her into a hospital to have a rape kit submitted to her.
Señora.
No, I don't want anything. I don't want anything.
Cálmate.
Calm yourself. Hopefully you guys... don't touch me.
Señora. Cálmate.
I like how this cop is just getting irritated. Like, what the fuck's she saying, man? Fuck. Tell me what she's saying.
Señora.
Do your fucking job. You don't get an opportunity to be annoyed at your fucking job. You chose this fucking career. So why don't you, as a human being who chose to be a law enforcement, I don't know, collect your fucking emotions.
Cálmate. Okay, por favor.
No, I don't want help. I don't want anything.
Just tell her to calm down.
Tell her to calm down. She's annoying me. No, help me. Help me. Help me. Leave, no. No, if you guys were offering me help, no, I don't want it. Thank you. Go help your son. Because he needs it more than I do. I don't want to. Help your son more than me, okay? Your son, okay? Once again, I feel like as a outside observer, you know, being a different species and all, commonly when I see humans act like this and saying things that don't connect, in this case, she's obviously not of sound mind. Either they drugged her, or she's drinking, or maybe they got her drunk. Something happened enough to the point where she felt the need to call these human individuals to help her.
There you go. Just stay right there, and leave her alone. Don't talk to her.
May God bless you all. She's telling us to get out of here. That you will not live in peace. And you guys will not live in peace. We want to make peace. I die, but you live in peace, okay? I die and I'm going to die.
Okay, hold on. You
Kill me then. Kill me then.
I'm gonna need you to be contact. Just contact.
Look at yourself there. Come here, look, there's cameras. Look over there. There's cameras. Come. There's cameras behind you. There's cameras.
No. Just back up a little bit.
I want to see blood. I want to see blood. I want to see blood. You guys are making me do this. Hey guys.
Kind of hold right there. If we can, let's have.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get on the door right now. Get out of here.
No.
We're going to help you. You got less lethal. You're going to be lethal, right?
I need you to hold on to the door. Just shut it.
Te vamos a ayudar. Te vamos a ayudar, pero no te vamos a ayudar así.
The following is zoomed, slowed, and freeze-framed footage of the previous video. I don't need... We don't need that. We get it. She's holding a knife to her own throat. Alright, this is probably the pivotal moment here. So we should let our patience... Not let our patience wane. Let us see her. I don't want anything. Do you want your money? I don't want anything. He's going to money, so I can make your kids. That's literally what I wrote, what I read from the subtitles here. I'm from other countries. I come all the way from Ecuador for you. I don't want anything. You guys can fuck them. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Throw away the knife. No, I don't want anything. No. Throw away the knife. Yes, I can go.
Relax.
And that was it. Well, yep, there's the shot, and there she drops the knife.
Relax. Yes.
I mean, aren't you human officers trained to handle these sorts of things? I mean, you know, there's a taser option, there's a pepper spray option. This officer decided to go for the gun option when the person was not even running towards them, but walking towards them with a knife to their throat. I get that's not something you often encounter as a regular human being, but when you're in the protect and serve arm of your human society, you'd think they would exercise something a little bit more... less lethal.
No te muevas.
Dropped the knife and fell on the bed. She was subsequently taken into custody without further incident. Here is additional body-worn video from one of the officers involved in the incident. Sustained as a result of the officer-involved shooting. While there, medical staff determined that her injury would require admittance to the hospital. Investigators recovered a kitchen knife with an approximate 6.5-inch blade at scene and booked it as evidence. Moran was absentee booked for assault with a deadly weapon upon a peace officer.
What? What? Excuse me? Where, at one point, did she assault an officer with a deadly weapon? Assault with deadly weapon upon a peace officer. Where was the assault exactly? Was it the when she came within 6 feet of the officer while holding the knife to her throat? Was that it? Was it the refrigerator?
Responded and transported Moran. Recovered a kitchen knife. 25. Moran was pronounced deceased, stemming from her injuries.
Fantastic. Summa Snake Oil, an executive director of the Sidewalk Project, an organization that works with homeless people in LA, told the Los Angeles Times that Moran was fleeing from sexual violence. Snake Oil went on to say this has such a chilling connotations for survivors in LA. If they're afraid to call 911, if they're afraid that police are going to shoot them when they call 911. The Sidewalk Project researcher Kim Sorreno said she remembered that Moran was determined to survive. She was very resilient, she knew what she wanted, and she knew what she liked and what made her comfortable. Alright. Oop. I don't want to spoil the next story. I'm just going to take a small break here real quick. I'll be right back. Oh. All right. Bit of a short break here. Let me get the memes off here. Alright, so next little story in the human observation here. Wyoming child porn case ends with raid of Philippine sex house. Oh, look at that. Would you look at that? All these humans that are very loud and outspoken about drag queens, gays, queer people in general. This guy is not a... maybe. Is it a drag king? Is it a woman dressing up in exaggerated old male prosthetics? Oh, let's find out. What started as a child-born bust in Lincoln County, Wyoming, ended with a rescue of 9 children from sex trafficking in the Philippines. A Wyoming Division of Criminal Investigation agents took down Afton resident Kelly Jasperson. A very non-immigrant name, at least, you know, non-immigrant for the United States of human America. This 64-year-old got to watch a viral link this month as federal and local agents working in the Philippines entered the home and arrested a woman suspected of making her children have sex chats with Jasperson and others. You know, I find it very ironic. You know, there's, you know, being a furry, as you can see right here, I'm well aware of many humans who channel their trauma of rape and victimization in various forms of sexual play with other consenting adults. And they're more likely to, they're less likely to ever engage in anything like this. And yet, you know, the types of people that do are always the ones that go out of their way to either demonize or present a normal perceived lifestyle. I bet you if you look into this person's life, he's about as normal as you can probably get. That's what I'm willing to bet on. Agents arrested 3 people and rescued 8 children. The case at first resembled the unfortunately common garden variety CP cases investigated throughout Wyoming, because I guess there's nothing going on in Wyoming other than CP, apparently. But as investigators delved into the evidence, they learned of a much more sinister, much deeper indication. That the producers were offering a repeated acts in real-time video streams. We found Jasperson was communicating with a trafficking ring in the Philippines. There was direct contact, text messaging back and forth, video chats, and payments in exchange for those video chats. Thousands of dollars over a few years span. Let's see if we found anything else here worthy of note. Just breaking down how they found him out. Amazing how blurred his picture is. Why? Who's taking lineup photos with a potato? Can we upgrade this? You know, they have all these huge budgets. They can't afford a better camera other than a potato. But yes, in a story of not a drag queen, not an illegal immigrant, not even an immigrant in general, not even a minority. White human. White human. In fact, let's just go to that subreddit, see if there's anything more recent here. Let's see. Was this it? Alright. Stupid fucking ads. Oh, well, the Trevor Project, yes. Norman Judge arrested for sending CP. Isn't that amazing? Look at that nice fella. Look at that nice, friendly, white human in a high-ranking position of authority. According to police, investigators found one where Christensen talked to another user who said she was 13 years old. He directs the conversation towards sexual topics and engages in graphic sexual chats with the child. Now, even I, as a human observer, I had a little bit of a hang-up when it came to like these sting operations, right? But then I looked into how they're actually run. So, oftentimes, well, actually almost all the time, to ensure that there's no argument for entrapment, these decoys just sit there as a profile out in the ether, not engaging with anyone. People like this engage at their own free will. And if you look into any of these cases involving these sting operations that the better humans partake in, the predators are always the ones to drag things out into sexual territory. So I always like to get that out of the way, because there are a lot of people who still have hang-ups when it comes to these sort of sting operations. So, yes, generally that's how you do it. So unlike some of these YouTubers who do their own little sting operations for the sake of fucking internet clout, this is how it's actually run. You don't try to make it happen. You just wait for it to happen. You gotta love it. Anything more. This is always a fun Reddit. Pasco Realtor, youth coach, arrested on 82 charges of bestiality and CP. Which one does he have more of, I wonder? Pasco County real estate agent and youth lacrosse coach has been arrested on 82 charges, including bestiality and possession of CP, following an investigation. 46, taken into custody on March 7th after detectives executed a search warrant in his Spring Hill home. After receiving a tip regarding Hayes' activities on the messaging app Kick Messenger. Never heard of that one? Let us take a look into that. I always like to try to keep up with what the hip humans are doing these days. Kick Messenger, commonly called Kick, is a freeware instant messaging app from the Canadian company Kick Interactive. Android operating systems. Okay, so this is a fucking realtor. Sexual contact with other animals, non-human animals, because humans are animals. I don't know why they always like try to make this distinction. The human species likes to try to think that they're not animals, they're not part of the animal kingdom, but they are, in fact, scientifically under the ape species. But doing depraved acts with underage humans is just, or underage non-human animals, it's just unacceptable, no matter what. Alright. That's enough of that. Let's just move on to a story that was just brought to me recently. Black community in Ohio forms safety program after neo-Nazis rally. I don't know what it is with Ohio recently, but apparently a lot of these human neo-Nazis, these humans who think race is a real thing and that there are some superior races out there, which is funny because whenever you talk to these people, they usually direct the conversation to Jews, and which the response to that would be, well, if Jews are the ones in control of everything and running the show, wouldn't that make them the superior race? If there are such things as races, wouldn't that make them the superior race? And you're just being a salty lesser that should just know their place. I'm just saying, I mean, these neo-Nazis, they always like to pretend that the white race is the best one, but at the same time, they also admit that the Jewish race, you can't see me putting quotes up. Apparently, my arms are just not functioning properly, but they think that this Jewish race is the superior one, right? They unintentionally label it that way by saying that they're in charge of everything. It's just amazing how that works. I don't know, but hey, let's hear about this group.
Turn now to one community in Ohio, which is now the center of a growing national debate about civil rights, hate speech, and the Second Amendment. NBC News correspondent and NBC News...
Oh, yes, that's one thing we have to mention here. So, for you outside of the United States, when it comes to the United States humans, they get they're very much against gun control, unless black people start wielding guns, or gay people, or other queer, or other minorities, any, brown shades, whatever. Any combination of those, anything non-white, hetero, cis, all of a sudden, gun control is a very big concern of theirs, but not until then, though.
Now, Daily anchor Morgan Radford visited the town of Lincoln Heights, where residents have formed an armed community defense group in the wake of a neo-Nazi rally. Morgan joins us now. You were there just on Tuesday. What did the residents tell you about what's going on?
Yeah, I was there just this week. John, it was fascinating because what's interesting is that this town was founded during the Great Migration back in the 20s as a refuge for black citizens, which is why it was especially painful when neo-Nazis suddenly appeared in this 3,000-person majority black town. But they decided to fight back, taking up arms and patrolling their own streets. Now they're at the center of a much larger debate about protection and free speech and who gets it.
Sort of guy of MSNBC, if you claim my fucking shit, I will. I mean, the human laws do not apply on other species as much as, they do to you. So, just let you know, we can get away with a lot more.
These aren't police officers or soldiers.
We're business owners. Your fathers, your sons, daughters.
These are civilians.
Why are they hiding their face? Why are they hiding their face? Why are they hiding their face? Sorry, I just can't help but channel the chuds calling this out. Just saying. Look, when it comes to activism, I'll just say it this way. All right. Always cover your face. Do not let yourself be doxxed if it can be helped. Or at least, be prepared for the inevitable.
Members of the Lincoln Heights Safety and Watch Program.
It's a duty. Okay, let's go.
The duty, protecting their neighborhood, the majority black village of Lincoln Heights, Ohio. After neo-Nazis held a rally here last month, carrying rifles, waving swastikas, and hurling racial slurs.
Personally, and this is just coming from a different species entirely than a lemur, I mean, it'd be unfortunate if something happened to them in the form of violence. But if it did, like a meteor falls on them, or a bus happens to careen off the road and hits them all, then takes off and never gets caught, that would be most unfortunate. That would definitely be more unfortunate. Alright, the point is that if these people were to just drop dead tomorrow, you just be like, good, right? I'm not saying you should do anything about it. I'm not saying you should target them. I'm just saying if they just happen to have died from a sudden heart attack or some natural disaster, you just be like, good, right? That would be a good thing. Assuming that they are never going to change their views, because you can't predict the future. I'm just saying it would be a good thing, though. Don't do it, because the laws will come down on you, and I can't call for that, because that would just be call for violence. You can't do that. That goes against the TOS of the YouTube, the human-run YouTube. Just saying. I'm sure y'all agree. Something were to happen to them, that would end their life. That would be a good thing, right? I'm pretty sure it would be a net positive. But other than that, don't take any direct action. I denounce any direct violent action to them. There you go.
Moments before children were let out of school. At the time, law enforcement officials said the neo-Nazis did not break any laws, but an investigation by county prosecutors is ongoing. Weeks later, the KKK came with these flyers.
First African-American community above the Mason-Dixon line of staff.
Safety and Watch Group spokesperson Durrance Daniels says the police did not do enough, which was more chilling because the town was founded in the 1920s as a safe haven for black residents.
Lincoln Heights is our home. If somebody broke into your home, you call the police, and the police says, you know, if they do it again, we haven't broken any law, so we're just going to allow them to break into your home again. What would you do?
Are you worried at all that having a potentially armed response could just create more friction,
Couldn't you say that about the neo-Nazis? The neo-Nazis came there first with rifles. At the end of the day, let's just go with the black human and the white humans here, okay? At the end of the day, black humans get their way. Everyone gets to live their lives as normal. Ultimately, the idea of race should just be abolished. Neo-Nazis get their way. Black people are harassed and pushed out of their homes. Pushed to move. And if they don't move, then some violent incident happens, and the fact remains that random acts of violence against a person are not concluded as easily as other murder cases. A random act of murder is not as easily, figured out, unless it's against a billionaire. Of course, if it's against a rich person, every single police officer is on that case because, hey, they're rich. But any normal human being, or especially in a different species like myself, if someone shot me, it's just another dead animal. How hard are they going to investigate this sort of thing?
more danger?
I'll answer that by saying I've never felt safer as a black man in my community than I have right now.
The mayor of Evendale, which oversees the police force that responded that day, said in a statement to NBC News, "Our emphasis on de-escalation and public safety resulted in the incident's resolution without injuries to any of the persons involved." But residents here say they can't afford to wait. Every day, the Safety and Watch Group escorts children to school and patrols the streets.
Why do you all wear masks?
Those Nazis, we have reports of them finding our backgrounds, so we're not hiding ourselves from the residents, but we're protecting our family for what we're doing out here.
While many locals do support the security group, some, like business owner Eric Ruffin, say they wish the group wasn't needed.
We don't want to become what we hate. You know, we don't want to become a group of people that walk around feeling like we have a reason in America to have to protect ourselves.
And this community
Stand up.
is not backing down.
We contacted the mayor of Evendale's office, and they say that prosecutors are looking at body camera footage of the neo-Nazi rally to see if any criminal charges could be filed. But meantime, the Hamilton County Sheriff is also calling on state lawmakers to pass legislation making it a crime to wear a mask with the purpose of intimidation while open carrying, guys.
That's not, well, that is very specific, but I'm not sure if I feel that. I don't know, man. I like the idea of that specific instance of wearing a mask when it's like the purpose of intimidation. Because let's face, I mean, problem is though, if the right people get in power, they could just turn that law around and be like, these people wearing masks are doing it for the purpose of intimidation. Intimidation against our right to call for their legal death for being too brown.
So, Morgan, let me ask you, one of the people you interviewed there, a young man, said he's never felt safer in his community than he does now. So this could have an impact nationwide, things like this. I mean, there is a contagion factor in say.
The problem is, you live in a country, once again, you live in a country that has refused, and continues to refuse to do anything against the abundance of firearms, to the point where it is likely impossible to curtail it outside of cutting manufacturing entirely, taking over these businesses that manufacture guns across the world and telling them no more. No more assault rifles, no more of this bullshit, and just leaving it for other people to figure out for themselves. So, in order to feel safe, you're going to have to, it's just going to become a normal thing. To know how to fire a gun, to know how to handle a gun, to not treat it like a toy, to not treat it as something, light. It is a tool of death. And that is it. You have to treat it as such and treat it seriously and responsibly. Because once the bullet leaves the chamber, you are responsible for where that bullet goes. Through an individual into the house next door, across the street, for instance. But yes, if the police are not constitutionally required to protect yourself, protect you in any way, so you do have to protect yourself. That is it.
Safety. People always seek it. What did the mayor or anybody that you spoke to think about the contagion factor?
Duran's, I don't want to speak for him, but after my conversation with him, I feel like I could confidently say he would say the contagion factor has already happened. Because when I asked, is this a reaction to a local moment or a national movement? And he said, look at January 6th. He said, you already have people felt emboldened to come here locally because of what they saw nationally. If you can hang from the building of the hallowed halls of the Capitol and then be pardoned, not be prosecuted, why don't you think you can come to a small village of African Americans, only
That is true.
3,000 people?
Morgan, does the group have any real authority? But as long as they stay within the confines of the law, they should be okay.
It's a great question. You know, I asked that basically, are you stopping cars when they come in because you think someone looks suspicious? Is that, profiling in its own sort of way? And they said, no. We are patently aware of what our rights are and what our limitations are. They said, we're not officers. What we do is we are trying to cooperate with.
Yes, it is amazing how quickly these humans who think that race is a thing will just back down and leave when they see other armed individuals. Because, hey, if you believe that you're living in a world where your life doesn't matter, if your life doesn't matter, then what do you got to lose, right? Defending yourself.
The police department. So if we see suspicious activity, because remember the KKK came back with flyers just after this rally. So they're saying this is more of a defensive posture to deter people from entering our community and showing them by virtue.
Yeah, because if you're armed in this country, if you're armed, what are they going to do? They can only escalate so far before, and especially in Ohio, by the way. Ohio has this thing called the Castle Doctrine. There's no right to there's no requirement to retreat. So if you feel your life is threatened by an individual, you can open fire on them and end their life, and you'll be let go. Let me just make that clear, just to make sure I'm not fucking off here. You have no duty to retreat before using force, including deadly force, in self-defense if you are in your home or vehicle and reasonably believe it's necessary to prevent imminent harm. Now, there are fuckity humans that have tried to take advantage of this, including an incident where, I don't know if it was in Ohio or another state, but there was an incident where a woman went into the back seat of the wrong car. She thought it was her friend's car. Oops, wrong car. My bad. And then she went to her own vehicle, but the guy stepped out of the vehicle, pursued her, and shot her in the fucking back. That guy's going to fucking jail for the rest of his life, probably. Or at least, 20 years, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to human lifespans, 20 years is pretty much life. Right when you hit the age of 20, 25 or older, come on, be real. It's pretty much life. You're gonna start a career at 45? Yeah, give me a fucking break. It's life. In fact, I could probably find that right now. Man shoots woman after entering wrong car. Yep, shot 3 times after friend got into wrong car, recalls heroin attack and hurdles in recovery. Yeah, what an intimidating looking human right here. I mean, I'm surprised that guy didn't go home with a broken neck. Texas cheerleader, Texas of course, who was shot and critically injured after a friend accidentally got into the wrong car. She didn't even see the shooter and tried to keep her friends calm, even as she was bleeding. Struck by 3 bullets, twice in her right buttock, and once in the back that impacted her left abdomen. Her friend accidentally entered a car she thought was hers before noticing a man in the passenger seat and quickly exiting. That man, identified by police as Pedro Tello Rodriguez, 25, then approached the vehicle the girls were in and opened fire. What a fucking psycho. But hey, when you have the castle doctrine, that's the kind of people you get to embolden, huh? Isn't it amazing?
Of our mask, by virtue of our guns, that you can't come here and we're not going to take this punchline down.
All right, an important story, fascinating. NBC News correspondent and NBC News Now daily anchor Morgan Radford. Morgan, thank you. Good to see you.
Oops, forgot to record that. Oh well. Recording now. Anywho, let's have a little more fun here. Actually, there's something here I saw from Ash Coyote. Let's see what this is about. I'll see what this is about. We'll get into the furry shit after this, though. This is just something lighthearted, a little amusing.
Who pays the tariffs? The Chinese
Please
government pays the tariff.
sign the petition.
Shut up.
No, they don't. Yes, they do. The government. Who pays the tariffs?
Who pays the tariffs?
Pays the tariff. No, they don't. Yes, they do.
No, they don't. That's not how tariffs work, buddy. Sorry to disappoint you, human. Whoopsies.
Okay, good. I don't want.
I want to. I'm an importer and exporter.
Yeah.
For 20 years.
Okay.
When a product
Well, what's that
comes
look?
into the U.S., there's something called a tariff sheet.
Okay. Look what Trump is talking about.
All right, I want to look. I'm not going to try to act like I'm some big brain lemur here. All right, observing the human species. Not that I was in favor of it, but I did not know exactly how tariffs worked until he started bringing them up. And then when I heard he's going to put these tariffs on there, you know, the Trump or whatever, that's when I looked at how tariffs exactly work. It takes about maybe a minute, 1 minute, 2 minutes, not hyperbolic, 1 minute or 2 minutes to understand how tariffs actually work. And it's like, oh, yep, that is definitely a bad thing. So I don't understand this this human, I don't know, fault where they don't look into understanding what it is that they're supporting. How much time do you need to just fucking do a Google search of anything? You don't have to do a Google search. Just go to a fucking library. I don't care. Just do something, human. Alright? Figure it out. Fucking figure it out how fucking something works. And know whether or not it's something you should support. I don't understand this fucking brain dead, go with the flow, let Jesus take the wheel understanding. I mean, I'm a fucking lemur, so according to you, I don't even have a fucking soul because I'm a different species from human. It doesn't take a fucking genius to figure that shit out.
Tax and possibly going through tariffs. And people are so quick to... Who pays the tariffs? What? Who pays the tariffs? Foreign countries pay the tariffs.
Wrong!
Okay. And let's talk about... No. Wait, we're talking about tariffs. So the product comes in from China, it gets on a ship, right, and then it comes in, and I'm the American manufacturer. I'm going to use that stuff from China. Who paid the tariff on it?
The Chinese government pays the tariff.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. You're thinking because you're paying more for that product. Because the Chinese product...
It's going to be more expensive. It is.
But look what's happening now, guys. You go to Europe...
Yes, everything's more expensive now.
I travel to China often. I travel to Europe often. You don't see like a Buick in China, but you see these Asians, you see these BMWs, Audi, and all that. Why do you think?
I really need you to understand is who is paying the tariff?
The government that is manufacturing that product. Is all we're saying is this. Look, I just want it to be even. Instead of us paying 400% of tariffs. Hey, good. I don't want.
I'm an importer and exporter.
Yeah.
For 20 years.
Okay.
What's that look? He's just like giving the mic.
When a product comes into the US, there's something called a tariff sheet.
Okay.
I, as the buyer of that product, follow US law and pay the tariff. Some goods are tariff-free. But when I pay that tariff, I'm an American citizen, an American taxpayer, right? That tariff might be 1%, it might be 7%, it might be 14%. That means I'm a US company. I pay that tariff to the US government, and that increase in the cost of the product I then sell to you for a higher price because I've got to cover that tariff.
Then what about?
There is no.
Nope. There's no what about this? What about that? Guess who gets to pay the bill? The human consumer. If there's a tariff on an import, who's gonna? Why would a business, an American business, the business mind is to make as much money as possible. You would have to be a business illiterate to just eat the costs and not pass it on to the consumer. The only way they're going to adjust things is if they absolutely sell zero of whatever product they're selling, whether it be a car or a carton of eggs. It's the only way it's going to adjust. If you're willing to starve for a few weeks, along with 100 million or 200 million Americans, that's the only way you're going to fucking inspire any kind of fucking price adjustment outside of some violent revolution.
Europeans who allow us to not charge us as much tariffs when our tariffs are higher when they go overseas as opposed to theirs coming here.
So tariffs are never a zero-sum game. Tariffs are a tool. So, for example, you might say, you want to sell us your beans, right?
Yeah.
We are going to give you a low tariff if you buy our corn, right? But the cost of the tariff is ultimately always borne by the consumer. The end consumer always pays the tariff.
But then don't you think at the end of the day there may be more competition within the market of the U.S. government if not only now there's not the cheap Chinese product coming in, but you also now have the American manufacturer.
You're confusing the question. This is not a question of competition. The point we're discussing is who bears the cost of the tariff.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you if it's good policy for the U.S. government to tax beans and for the Chinese government to tariff corn. I don't know if there's any you can't compare those. That's beyond my expertise. But what I can absolutely assure you on the life.
Look, I think you can sum this up within one sentence for a human, okay? This is how tariffs work. If a tariff is 12% or 10%, we'll just go with 10%. I have to pay 10% more in cost to import batteries from China. Specific batteries that I can't get from the United States because they don't manufacture them. That 10% I have to pay, I'm going to add to the retail cost of those batteries. So the consumer pays more to make up for the difference that I have to pay. Let me try it again. A tariff. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to dumb it down for even the stupidest human to understand. All right? When tariffs are in place, whatever extra I have to pay to import a product or material to make my product that I sell to you, I pass that cost on to you through the retail price. So if a carton of eggs costs $10 and through tariffs it costs me $15 to import those eggs, I'm going to sell those eggs for $20 to you so I can actually make a profit. Fuck you and your goddamn fucking bots, Twitch. Get your shit together or fucking die.
On my eyes is that a product that comes into the US is paid for by a US company, and the increased cost of that is borne by all of us.
I can't.
That has never.
I can't count. I don't
I'm
have
an import. I'm an import and export.
Yeah, you don't have the information, so maybe you should just not address it until you have the information.
But, I do it for a living. Okay. I have a tariff sheet that's bigger than 500 Bibles.
Then what's the alternative? If at one point in our history, in our country's history, it was tariffs that paid for our economy.
Tariffs don't pay for your economy.
But they did. We didn't have income taxes before. Before income taxes, the country survived by tariffs.
That was before we had municipal infrastructure.
Correct.
I mean, we did not have.
And also, too, of like, well, the competition argument that American products are going to be in the marketplace a little more is, I think, kind of bullshit, because the reason we get so much from China is because their labor laws are so poor, and they can afford to pay people like shit for shit quality products. If you want,
There's one thing American humans love doing, the American government at least. They love dictatorships. They love dictatorships. One, they get to call them communists, which is not true, because they're dictatorships. You can't have a... It doesn't matter if Stalin or Mao or North Korea's Jin Chan Hu, whatever the fuck his name is, says their country is communist. It's a dictatorship. If the people have no say of who's in charge, that is a dictatorship. Why is a cartoon lemur such as myself explaining this to you? Why? Why is it so fucking hard for you humans to understand what a dictatorship is versus a communist government? I don't understand. That's besides the point. Point is, the United States loves dictatorships because they can just call one person, Vladimir Putin, whoever the fuck is in charge of Iran, Saudi Arabia, and be like, hey, this is the deal we got for your resources. This is what we want. Boom, perfect. I'll just force my people to work as little as possible, get you your deal. Boom. And that's how we get our lithium, through exploitation of people in select African countries where they harvest the lithium and shit. Perfect.
want American goods in circulation, they're already going to cost more because we have better labor laws and we take care of our workers. So
well, not so much anymore, but hey, they're working on that.
If you want American products in the marketplace made cheaper through tariffs, you're going to have to really screw American workers, pay them less, give them less benefits, no health care. Like, it's not a good idea to have, 100% American-made products because it'll be so expensive. And you're already complaining about high prices.
I don't think the effort is suggesting that it's only 100%. What they're saying is make it...
No. One of the excuses that the corporation Apple makes when it comes to their exploited foreign labor is that if the iPhone was made entirely in the United States, it would cost 300% more. And I think the human response to that should just be like, okay, that's it. that should just be the response. Okay, it's going to cost 300% more. Guess what? Apple could survive with less profit. Microsoft could survive with less profit. Activision could survive with less profit. All these oil companies could survive with less profit. The issue is that the executives that run these companies, the CEOs like Elon Musk, they feel like they couldn't survive without the profit that they make. Imagine how less expensive a Tesla would be if Elon Musk only made $100,000 a year. Period. No fucking loopholes, no fucking bullshit Swedish bank accounts or investments. Like, he literally only paid himself $100,000 a year running the fucking company Tesla. How much more could he pay his employees? And this is accounting for every other CEO. Because, let's just bring up an example here. Elon Musk net worth. 335 billion. 335 billion. Fucking billion. $billion. This human here is worth $335 billion. $335 billion. $335 billion fucking United States American human dollars. Alright? There are, what's the population of fucking United States? United States population. Let's look that up, huh? Let's look that up. Population. 340 million. 335 billion. 340 million. Alright. Okay. Let's just enter that in. $335 billion. Billion. Divided into 340 million. Alright. Make sure I got that right there. It was, math is not my strong suit here. That's $985 for every citizen in this country, alright? That's just him alone. What's the net worth of his company? Of his companies? That's just him. Oh, that's funny. You can't even find the fucking net worth of his individual companies. You have to add all up yourself. Okay, net worth of Tesla. 1.6 trillion just for Tesla alone. 1.6 trillion. Let's just go on the low end and go for 1 trillion. $2,941 for every human being on this fucking country, just by itself. You think you could afford at least a few $100s more for each person? SpaceX. 875 million. Oh, well, never mind. I was wrong about that. 350 billion. All these billions of dollars, and they can't pay their employees better.
Even playing field. My understanding is that the tariff is lobbying other countries as opposed to ours. The suggestion is just to bring it up to make it equal. That's it.
You're framing this in a way that doesn't make any sense. Tariffs are not about equalization, right? They're about access to the marketplace.
Okay.
So you cannot say like,
but by
Musk earns about $54 million every day. I'm pretty sure, even as a working lemur myself, you saw the amount of donations on here so far, 0. I'm pretty sure even if I were to get $1,000 every day, I wouldn't make this amount within a lifetime. All right? Come on. There comes a point where the wealth a human has is just excessive. All right? You're not going to be one of them.
Company in the US may feel that a certain technology from a different country is advantageous. They can sell it here at a profit, right? That doesn't mean that the US government or some Chinese or German or Australian company has some kind of like equalization calculus that they're engaging. Oh, because we're sending our products there, therefore it's good that we're bringing it. That's not how tariffs work. That's not how tariffs work.
But the trade relationship between two countries, tariffs come into play with the trade relationship between countries.
That's why you have free trade agreements, right? But it doesn't mean that even within the free trade agreement there are not tariffs. There are multiple millions of tariff agreements between countries. The European Union may have free trade agreements within it, but there are products that go out that are still tariffed.
Yes.
But it's still the consumer. But the consumer, I absolutely assure you, I do this for a living. The consumer bears the cost. Now, it may be that an imported product, even with a tariff, supplants a domestic product. But you don't want that because that's going to affect American jobs. If there's one thing you should take away from this extended conversation is you are always paying the tariff. Me, you, everyone here is always paying the tariff.
Fair enough.
There is no economic reality in contradiction.
I give this human a lot of credit too, because this is how the humans should engage with each other when it comes to educating and being corrected. It takes a lot for, I don't know why, but it takes a lot for humans to admit when they are incorrect on something. You know, when it comes to, say, medical advice. What's this lump in my chest? I don't understand. What is this lump? Chances are a doctor is going to be... Oh, excuse me. Chances are a doctor is going to have the right answer compared to a random search on Google or WebMD or whatever. And that's how it should be with every aspect of the people who are in charge of us. What do the experts say when it comes to climate change? What do the experts say when it comes to handling a pandemic or an epidemic of a virus? It should never be at the will of whatever politician happens to be in charge. And they go against what the actual evidence is. It should just be grounds for immediate expulsion and impeachment. That's just how it should be. You know, ideal human society should just expel its leaders whenever they start being science denying, you know, religious touting lunatics, because that's what they are. They're lunatics.
Okay, you know what? I'm not educated in that. Fair enough. I'm willing. Yeah, okay.
I really love you.
Yeah, I know it is very, very good restraint to not just lead into a bunch of insults. Because let's admit, I gotta admit that it does not lead to productive conversation.
Work, man.
All right,
Following
thank you.
All socials. It's great to meet you.
Thank you,
so much.
man.
Have a good
Cheers.
day.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
All right, that was it. All right, let's get into some petty, unimportant furry drama. What the fuck is this shit about? Furry toy drama, Bad Dragon versus Sin and Saint. This will be the thing I end on, because I just randomly came across this. I want to see what it's about. I'm curious.
Hey friends, have you ever wondered what would happen if you made your own, how should I put this, silicone sculptures, and maybe, just maybe, got a little too close to copying someone else's design? Well, it is your friendly YouTube coyote here to tell you all the correct answers. Guess what? You'll make a bunch of stuffy old people very, very uncomfortable. And that's great. So I say, go for it. Now, I'm sure you're wondering where I'm going with all this. Stick tight. First, a quick disclaimer. This is not legal advice. Please do not take legal advice from coyotes.
My ears.
Unless
My
they
ears.
have a degree in law, of which I do not. Or, at the very least, that they can read, which is kind of debatable with this coyote. Now, this isn't some hypothetical situation. Bad Dragon, yes, that Bad Dragon. Not to be confused with Naughty Wyvern or Nice Kobold. The manufacturer of premium premier fantasy special toys.
Oh my god, why are we dancing around this so much? Okay, they're fucking sex toys. They're animal-based sex toys, alright? Sometimes they're based on human animals, sometimes they're based on fantasy animals, sometimes they're based on other animal species, alright? Why are we acting like this is like some taboo subject still, alright? We're all fucking adults. I'm an adult lemur, you're an adult human, obviously, here in this case. Just fucking say what they are, alright? It's not funny, it's not cute, it's just fucking annoying. But you get a thumbs up.
Actually sued a company called Sin and Saint. Great name, by the way, for making dragon-themed silicone sculptures that were clearly copies of Bad Dragon's more popular designs. Now,
were they?
I, a chaste virgin coyote of holy cloth who has never ever once seen or heard anything so scandalous in their life, would not know the first thing about these toys? But you can imagine being a lawyer on the case, I'm sure, right? Oh my god, I can picture it now. Now, I say, Your Honor, this here young horsecock, which we will be calling Exhibit 69, closely resembles that of my client to the point where it infringes upon my client's design. On this next...
Whatever judge is going to see this case is going to have so much fun. Do they get to play the song too? No cock like horse cock. Da 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 da.
Slide here, Your Honor, is an x-ray of our hot hair twink intern, allowing us to compare these two items side by side. I would like to call your attention to the flare and the balls and then the veins right along that cylinder. You'll see plain as day that there is no way that this here young sculpture was a mere accident. And I can attest, Your Honor, after some first-hand experience and testing myself, the exhibits are simply too similar to be a mere chance. Oh my god!
Like mere chance, like Chance the Stallion, ha ha!
God, this is the court drama that CBS needs to save their brand. Hey, procedural drama studios, if you're looking for a coyote to hire for work, I'm always looking for more work. Hit me up. We can make Bad Dragon versus, Sun and Sun.
Make it a Netflix special.
Wouldn't that be great? Oh, and get this. It wasn't like one toy that was copied. Apparently they had to test and examine 13 silicone fantasy ticklers, ranging from the scaled drippy dragon design.
How hard is it to just make your own goddamn fucking design if this is the case? I'm just saying. Like, really.
To the, much more complex.
But then again, you know, like, how different can each individual dragon cock be? I mean, you can only have so many ridges before it just gets outright painful and unsellable.
Complicated cuttlefish of Cthulhu? What the heck even is that?
I want to see it.
How do you use a cuttlefish for, oh.
A cuttlefish.
Hold on. Handy dandy internet search time.
Sex toy.
Huh. Anyways, yeah, 13 times.
Yes.
And yes, Bad Dragon does have patents on many of their products. Heck, I didn't even know that you could patent such things.
Well, that's why the patents should just be completely destroyed. There should not be any patents. Now, I will say that as long as patents and copyright exist, you should, as a responsible human, use them for your own protection, especially against the big corpos that are out there. But ultimately, there should be advocacy and push to abolish all these systems. The copyright, the patents, because all that ends up doing is creating a situation, for example, where Nintendo sues a independent studio for having the mechanic of balls catching monsters. And yep, it's the cuttlefish of Cthulhu can give you can be yours for about $145. Hold on, where is it? There it is. Yep, that's yeah, amazing. It doesn't look like anything phallic, so yeah, that passes YouTube shit. Fuck you. Anyways, continue with this bullshit.
How does one even begin to go about doing that? Oh my god.
Speed it up.
Patent clerks must love getting a letter from Arizona with that black and red dragon stamp on it. Everybody's so excited. They're just sitting there waiting. I wonder if they fight over who gets to review it. They're like, ooh,
Wait, what's Sin and Saint, though? Let's look at Sin and Saint. Sin and Saint sex toys. Oh, man, it's hard to find anything. They're pretty mundane. Medusa. Yeah, these are a little too phallic. Somehow I got a Charizard in here. This is the Charizard toy. Fisting, tentacle. Yeah. Meh. Alright, this is all just like, you know, grotesque chili pepper stuff. It's all very common. Somehow when I searched this, I got to a fucking Lost Ollie plushie doll. By the way, I have my own store you should be looking at. Yeah, just buy from there. Go buy from there. Anyways, continue.
What have they come up with? What new crazy thing are they sending us? Scratch that. Apparently the clerk's office is full of prudes because our friends at Bad Dragon have had patents rejected due to, I quote, immoral or scandalous material. Wait, can I see those applications? I mean, they got 13 of these things through.
Immoral. Fuck, what a fucking bullshit response.
Ones like that weren't accepted. Ah, yes, the Mega Squirt 7000, of course. It acts in a novel way by filling the end user from end to end. I take it none of these people have actually ever been on the internet before. Now, apparently everyone making dildos will eventually make a dragon-shaped silicone cock. This is also known in the legal world as the Samsung defense. Wow. Now, the courts having to handle. God, imagine the judge. What if this has a jury trial? God, I'd pay to go see that. That's a jury trial. I think the most surprising thing of all this is that this is hardly the first time that something like this has happened. A maker of premium pleasure products for women got into quite the row with the New York subway system, since ads for women-centric products were explicitly banned, while similar products aimed at men remained up for all to see.
Yeah, you gotta love that. You gotta love that double standard that humans have for each other when it comes to their perceived genders.
I feel like we should expand more on the lawsuit itself. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna bring in our own legal eagle in the furry fandom themselves, Boozy Badger, to talk a little bit more about
Boozy Badger!
This case is rather unique, right? You know, we're talking about Bad Dragon versus Sympathy.
It is unique in the subject matter of the claims. The claims themselves aren't unique. Copyright cases are brought every day. I am genuinely surprised we don't see more of them in the furry community because I have walked through the dealer's den and I've seen what some of these people are selling. Like, you can't sell Disney's Robin Hood doing those things without Disney possibly getting involved. If it did,
fuck Disney. How about that? And once again, you're proving your case to me that copyright and patents should just be bullshit. It just be abolished. All right, if someone wants to sell a fucking print of Robin Hood, Disney's Robin Hood, fucking Renamon in the ass, while she gets fucked in the mouth by, I don't know, Barney the dinosaur, someone should be able to do that freely. It falls under parody law because Disney would never sell anything like that, and it's counter to what their branding is. So therefore, it would be a fucking parody. So don't fucking besmirch the erotic artists out there who are making interesting, fun drawings of people's childhood characters that they grew up with and were the only thing of comfort for some people's case. Anyways.
Disney lawyer ever walked into MFF or Anthrocon and through the dealers, then they'd lose their mind. But
no, they would not. No, they would not. I mean, if they, again, are you going to simp for Disney? I doubt it. I doubt Boozy Badger will simp for Disney.
But in this case, yeah, copyright lawsuits about sex toys don't drop very often.
Oh, and it gets weirder and weirder and weirder. What's a video these days?
Speaking of which, yeah, that was pretty bizarre that Nintendo would come down on a fucking Pokemon parody porn comic at one point, saying this violates their copyright, so they had to like redesign the characters. Must have been a pain in the ass to do that. But it's just like, okay, so now you basically admit that Pokemon having sex with each other on a regular basis, including with the fellow humans, is now canon, right? In the Pokemon universe. If you sue for it, just like when Warner Brothers came down on Papa Meat's channel for the rapist Bugs Bunny cartoon, it now establishes that Bugs Bunny is a rapist. And now Nintendo did establish that the EVs of Pokemon are down to fuck you in every hole.
Without bringing up baby furs, there have been multiple problems caused by companies who should know better than to upset a bunch of people pretending to be babies. Take, for example, Rears and Little for Big, both makers of adult diapers that are, well, they look like they're designed for oversized children, and both companies trying to lay claim to the word baby fur, because apparently you can trademark baby fur. Now, this has caused many well-respected people.
Once again, it's why trademarks should not exist. Am I wrong in my case? Am I correct or am I right? You tell me. Am I correct or am I right?
to speak out and weigh in on the controversy. With a collective, what the hell is going on? Seriously, what the actual Don't try to copyright words used by communities for decades, and also just,
Well, you live under this system you created, humans. That's what you're gonna have to suffer with. So if you don't claim it, someone else will. That's why I encourage every individual, if you come up with a species, it doesn't matter if you enforce it or not. You don't have to enforce it. Patent it, copyright it. That way, if there's ever a corporation who tries to steal it from you, you have some grounds of defense.
Although, unfortunately, a lot of those write-ups seem to have been taken down. So here we are. But all this pales in comparison to Pornhub, who is ready to take on the entire United States of America. See, in some states, they want to require photo IDs to use the internet. This is a phenomenally bad idea for a ton of reasons, especially...
Yes, we want to keep our eye... Look, I'm willing to show my face, obviously. You can see my face here. But for all you humans out there, you know, there's a reason why they would want to keep their identities hidden when they go on certain websites. It is just utter fucking violation of privacy and just a means to try to eliminate any possible threat to the system in play.
When every single year, you hear about another hacker group releasing another massive document containing everyone's personal information.
Exactly.
Just imagine
that
if
too.
everyone in your office knew exactly the kind of kinky stuff you were into. While I'm an advocate for kink positivity, I don't exactly need to have to explain what a praise kink is every time I meet a new client. But who knows? Maybe that would make the world a better place, or at least...
It would normalize it. That is the double-edged sword that they'd be enacting right there, right? No one, generally speaking, most people don't give a shit what you're into.
A teeny tiny bit little kinkier place. Governors and other politicians who are always totally exactly the people you expect. Well, they say that laws requiring IDs for porn will keep children off of explicit websites. Presumably because...
I thought we were talking about Bad Dragon versus this company.
They have never been on the internet before either. Pornhub has sued to overturn laws in the past, and will soon be cutting off the whole state of Florida. Ah, yes, America's dick. Florida. It's a shame we
The fucking swampland is going to sink into the ocean. Can't wait for that to see that happen.
can't undergo bottom surgery and just have that whole thing removed or inverted or something. I can say that I am trans. There's a lot of times I just wish we could do a nationwide bottom surgery and just remove our Florida. Wouldn't that be nice? Ah, yes. On second thought, though, I don't think replacing Florida Man with Florida Mermaid would be a good idea either. Really what we need is incremental systemic change that starts from the bottom and populates through the entire society.
Yes, abolish copyright, abolish patents.
As long as they're being told that the price of eggs is going down. That's what you have to tell people. Eggs are gonna go down. I mean, oh my god, no politics. Unless you like porn and live in Florida, because you will lose access to Pornhub soon. And while that may be good for VPN companies and shady websites, I imagine it's going to cause quite a few issues. As for Bad Dragon, well, we will have to wait and see how it all plays out, or at least they haven't disclosed how it's going to. But the products they were talking about were removed from the opposing company's website, so it's likely a sign. Anyways, I hope this has been fun, and I rest my case. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like.
I guess there's
Please,
not much
drop
to
me a
say
comment
about it,
section
huh?
below.
Alright, well, that's it for tonight. Anywho, be sure to check out this channel, subscribe. Also the Crafty Arts channel. Got a new video coming out this Thursday. It's almost done. It'll be out early for people who are actually members and patrons. Speaking of which, we got the gaming channel here. Pause off. Store, Etsy, Crafty Indie Arts. Anyone discount there? We got the Patreon right there. There he is. Alright, I am out of here. Bye. Music. Get the music on. Get the music on.